Hi again then guys, and welcome to another installment, of course, of the Automotive News Roundup, and this one is very, very exciting for me personally, because if you'll have watched my HSG Top 100 favourite cars, there was a Hummer in there, and rather serendipitously I mentioned my dream project, or one of them, of taking a Hummer H1 Alpha, gutting out all of the mechanicals and fitting it with 4 Tesla motors to turn it into this 2,000 horsepower monster electric truck. Well, Hummer's kind of done that themselves. Because they've brought out a new vehicle, and it literally happened, the announcement that is, a matter of days after releasing my video, if not 1 or 2 days after, so it's kind of crazy when stuff like that happens. This one isn't quite as powerful as my dream project, but it is still a monster. It's going to be the fastest, the most powerful, and the torquiest Hummer they've ever produced, and considering that the existing ones had big 6.6 litre Detroit diesels, I believe, in the earlier ones, 6.2 litre V8s in the later ones, they still weren't exactly quick, but they were impressive looking cars. You know, some people like them, some people don't. I personally definitely see the appeal. I do like Hummers. Of course they have downsides, but every car does, and I think this is on the surface of things a very clever idea to bring it back. But the interesting thing that could be a potential problem, even though I don't believe it will be ultimately when this car goes on sale in the fall of 2021, after its reveal this year in May, is that you've actually created somewhat of an antithesis, if you will, against the customers who would typically buy a Hummer. And what I mean by that is that usually the kind of people who want a Hummer don't care about its environmental impact, and the people who like environmentally good cars don't want a Hummer. So it's almost like this exact opposite. But that's kind of a cool idea, to make a vehicle that is known for being the ultimate anti-environment vehicle a proponent for it. That's cool, and of course you can argue all day long about how environmentally friendly electric cars actually are with strip mining, etc., but, you know, purely on the emissions from the car point of view, it is better. Now, in terms of the specs that they are advertising, they're going full on with the GMC branding of this car. It's not just Hummer, and that's its own thing, it's the GMC Hummer, so a sub-brand of GM. Interesting idea to go with. I'm sure that'll give some people more faith in the brand, having that GMC badge on there as well, if indeed it has it on the production model, that is. And the numbers are very spicy: 1,000 horsepower, 11,500 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of 3 seconds. I believe that this car will be the biggest legitimate threat to the Tesla Cybertruck, which in itself is a brilliant marketing vehicle. It's a vehicle which, regardless of if you love it or hate it, you can't help but talk about it. I believe that the Hummer will be the same, but in terms of performance and tech, rather than design, which of course was the case with the Tesla. And of course I do need to address the point that many people have been bringing up with not just the Hummer, but also the Draco GTE, and I believe a few other electric cars recently as well, where certain, let's say, petrol heads who aren't a fan of electric cars have been saying that they don't like the way these vehicles are marketed because they are inaccurate or disingenuous torque figures being given. 11,500 pound-feet sounds insane, like your tyres couldn't even cope with that, but the reality is many cars put out multiple thousand pound-feet of torque to the wheel, because, for those who don't know, the torque is just the twisting power of the engine, or anything, but the engine in the case of a car, and then the gearbox acts literally as a torque multiplier, along with the final drive located in the rear diff. So when they say that this car has 11,500 pound-feet, it's at the axle, not from the motor, so it is multiplied. Some people find that disingenuous. I personally am fine with it because, as a mechanic and as an engineering fan, I fully understand when they say that they are being specific to the axle. They're not saying that the engine puts that out. They're allowing people who don't know better to be wowed by the numbers. Is that disingenuous? Kind of. But at the same time, there's nothing to stop any other manufacturer from doing the same. So if they choose not to, well, that's really their problem. There's nothing stopping, for instance, Ford as advertising the axle torque of an F-150. They choose not to do that. Hummer has chosen to do that, and I see no issue with it, especially given that an electric truck does not have a conventional gearbox. So it actually is very different to a normal car in the way it delivers that torque, all from 0 RPM. Likewise with the power, the torque curve, the power curve are completely different on an electric car, and of course the performance speaks for itself. I am very eagerly anticipating this car's release, and its unveiling, I believe, in May of this year. So yeah, I'm glad to see Hummer back. It's cool that they've kind of done what I was hoping of doing myself with a Hummer, And yeah, I'm really keen to see how good this car turns out to be. And I've got to say, even though I am a fan of the zaniness of the Tesla Cybertruck, without even seeing this vehicle in full, I'm already on Team Hummer, and I have no problem with saying that. So overall, tell me your thoughts down below. Are you already a Hummer fan? Were you a Hummer fan that doesn't like the idea of electric? Do you like the idea of them totally changing it up and bringing back the name? Tell me down below either way, and of course, stick around on the channel for more automotive news. But click the playlist here on screen to see previous news that you might have missed, and until next time, I'll see you then. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.